If you think ramen is just instant noodles in a cup, pause. I'm Atlas, and today on Flavor Atlas, we're breaking down 8 distinct ramen styles and why broth, region, and technique change everything. From light and clear to rich and cloudy, let's decode them. Shoyu Ramen. Everything starts with soy sauce. Shoyu Ramen originated in Tokyo in the early 20th century as Chinese wheat noodles merged with Japanese soup traditions. It developed in urban port cities where soy sauce was abundant and lighter broths were preferred. Unexpected fact: Shoyu Ramen was one of the first styles to popularize ramen nationwide in Japan. The broth is typically chicken-based with vegetable aromatics, seasoned with a tare made primarily from soy sauce. Salt concentration is precise, usually around 1 to 2% salinity, creating clarity without heaviness. Unlike creamy tonkotsu, shoyu broth is clear, amber, and layered rather than thick. Medium curly wheat noodles hold the broth evenly. But if soy sauce defines this bowl, the next style strips color away entirely and focuses purely on salt. Shio Ramen. Now we remove the darkness. Shio Ramen originated in Hakodate, Hokkaido, one of Japan's earliest port cities open to international trade. It developed from coastal influence. Seafood was abundant. Broth stayed light and clean. Unexpected fact: Shio is considered the oldest ramen seasoning style in Japan. Instead of soy sauce, the tare is built primarily from salt, often sea salt, dissolved into a clear chicken or seafood-based broth. Salinity typically sits between 1 and 1.5%, lower than many shoyu variations, which keeps the flavor delicate. The broth appears almost transparent, with a pale golden hue. Unlike shoyu ramen's amber depth, shio ramen emphasizes clarity and subtle aroma. Thin, straight noodles are common to avoid overpowering the broth. But if this bowl is restrained and coastal, the next style moves north and turns richness way up. Miso Ramen. Now the broth gets bold. Miso Ramen originated in Sapporo, Hokkaido in the 1950s, during Japan's post-war rebuilding period. It developed for climate. Northern winters are harsh. People needed something heavier. Unexpected fact: Miso Ramen was reportedly created after a customer asked for ramen mixed with miso soup. Instead of clear seasoning, fermented soybean paste is blended into the tare, creating a thicker, opaque broth. The soup often includes pork stock and chicken stock combined, with fat content noticeably higher than shio or shoyu styles. Cooking temperatures remain steady, but the fat layer helps retain heat longer, critical in freezing weather. Unlike delicate shio ramen, miso ramen is hearty, savory, and dense. It's commonly topped with corn, butter, and bean sprouts. But if miso builds richness with fermentation, the next style builds it with bones alone. Tonkotsu Ramen. Now we go opaque. Tonkotsu Ramen originated in Fukuoka, on Japan's southern island of Kyushu, in the 1930s. It developed from necessity. Pork bones were inexpensive, street vendors needed intensity. Unexpected fact: the broth's milky color does not come from milk. It comes from collagen and fat emulsification. Pork bones are boiled at a rolling boil for 12 to 18 hours. The aggressive heat breaks down marrow and connective tissue, suspending particles in liquid and creating a cloudy, creamy texture. Fat content is significantly higher than shoyu, shio, or miso styles. Unlike miso ramen's fermented thickness, tonkotsu builds richness purely from bone extraction. Thin, straight noodles are preferred because they cook in under 60 seconds. But while tonkotsu defines Kyushu, Tokyo developed a different identity entirely. Tokyo-Style Ramen. Now we define the capital. Tokyo-Style Ramen originated in Japan's largest city during the early 1900s as Chinese wheat noodles merged with Japanese dashi traditions. It developed for balance. Urban diners wanted something layered but not overwhelming. Unexpected fact: early Tokyo ramen shops were often pushcart vendors serving late-night workers. The broth typically blends chicken stock with kombu and katsuobushi-based dashi, then seasoned with soy-based tare. Fat content remains moderate, lighter than tonkotsu, but deeper than pure shio. Medium curly noodles are standard, designed to trap broth between their ridges. Unlike tonkotsu's aggressive opacity, Tokyo-Style Ramen focuses on clarity and layered umami. It's the blueprint many Americans imagine when they picture ramen. But further north, cold weather reshaped ramen again into something heavier and sweeter. Sapporo Ramen cold changes everything. Sapporo Ramen originated in Hokkaido's capital city, where winters regularly drop below freezing. It developed for insulation. Broth needed to stay hot. Calories mattered. Unexpected fact: Sapporo Ramen popularized adding butter to ramen, something rarely seen in other regions. The base is typically miso, blended with pork stock and sometimes chicken stock, creating a thick, hearty soup. Woks are often used to stir-fry bean sprouts and garlic before broth is added, which increases aroma and fat integration. Noodles are thicker and wavier than Tokyo-style varieties, designed to hold heavier broth. Unlike the balanced subtlety of Tokyo-style ramen, Sapporo bowls are rich, sweet, and built for extreme cold. Corn, butter, and ground pork are common toppings. But while Sapporo builds warmth with fat, the next style builds identity through speed and precision. Hakata Ramen speed defines this bowl. Hakata Ramen originated in the Hakata district of Fukuoka, the same region that created Tonkotsu Ramen. It developed for efficiency. Street vendors needed quick turnover for busy dock workers. Unexpected fact: Hakata Ramen introduced the kaedama system. Diners can order extra noodles without replacing the broth. The base is pork bone tonkotsu, boiled for 12 to 18 hours until collagen emulsifies. But the defining feature is the noodle. Extremely thin, straight noodles cook in 30 to 45 seconds, half the time of thicker varieties. Broth richness remains high, but portion size is smaller, encouraging refills. Unlike Sapporo's thick winter bowl, Hakata Ramen prioritizes speed, precision, and repetition. It's built for rhythm. But what if noodles weren't meant to sit in broth at all? That's where the final style breaks the format completely: Tsukemen. Now we separate everything. Tsukemen originated in Tokyo in the 1960s, created by ramen chef Kazuo Yamagishi as an experimental variation. It developed from a simple question: what if noodles stayed firm until the second you ate them? Unexpected fact: Tsukemen was designed to prevent noodles from overcooking inside hot broth. Instead of serving noodles submerged, they're served chilled or room temperature in a separate bowl. The dipping broth is highly concentrated, often 30 to 50% stronger than standard ramen broth, because it coats the noodles rather than diluting around them. Noodles are thicker to withstand repeated dipping. Unlike Hakata's speed-focused immersion, Tsukemen gives the diner control over each bite. Broth on demand, texture preserved, from clear salt bowls to bone-clouded soups to dipping styles, ramen isn't one recipe, it's regional engineering. If this changed how you see ramen, follow Flavor Atlas. I'm Atlas, and next time, we break down another food that's deeper than it looks.